Well, hello, everybody. This is Jim Graham, and I'm really, really excited to see all of you on this webinar today or tonight or this morning, wherever you are around the world. We're going to be talking about today how in 48 hours you can have 1,000 plus. It's actually more than that, but Doug likes to under-promise and over-deliver, but 1,000 plus targeted hits to your website or any other online asset, whether it's social media, any other sales page, opt-in page, or anything like that, with highly, highly targeted buyers. And this is something that is a whole new realm of traffic that I've only just recently been tapping into with Doug. Normally, I'm Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Google Plus to get traffic and Facebook ads to go wherever I want them to go. But this is a whole nother thing that I had no idea was so big and so important until Doug shared with me what he's doing. And so we did an experiment, and he's going to share with you later what that experiment meant. In my case, it was over 4,000 hits in 48 hours to my website, all targeted. And what does 5,000 hits mean? It means sales. But anyway, Doug, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so just a couple little housekeeping things. I do have the Q&A open, so please feel free to answer or ask questions along the way throughout this whole thing, and then we'll try to get to those at the end. And let's go ahead and get started, Doug.
All right, outstanding. Thanks, Jim. Thanks so much for hosting tonight. I'm going to try to slow down. I talk a little bit too fast sometimes, so just chime in if I go too fast or too slow. Don't worry about interrupting me. I want to make sure I deliver and over-deliver as much good quality content as I can about this topic. And I'm going to teach. It's about teaching tonight. So what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to teach people how authentic experts, and every time I want to emphasize something, I'm going to italicize it here. So authentic experts who may or may not necessarily blog or Facebook or podcast, how they sell and leverage their brand and get connected to the big recognized media channels. And you've seen these logos before. They stand out, they're recognized, they're as popular as Coca-Cola and McDonald's. ABC, Fox, CBS, NBC, how you can use them to sell and leverage your brand. So in Jim said, this is a whole new way. In one way, it is completely new for almost all of us. But in another way, it's actually been used for quite some time. So I'm gonna bring together the 80s and 2015 here with this slide right here. Ever remember that? If you're over the age of what, I don't know, 35 or 40, you might have seen this color scheme and this logo. It's called Think Different. Back in whatever it was, I think it was late 80s, PCs were all the rage, and this little teeny company said, hey, we could do something better. We can make a computer that does not use DOS and actually uses a visual interface. They thought different. Now, going up against Microsoft and IBM is impossible. But these guys said, you know what, we're not going to talk about computers. We're not going to talk about keyboards or anything. We want people to get into their hearts. So we didn't say something better. We didn't say something new. We just said, think different. So tonight, our job is to really crack open your mind to what's possible. And one of the persons you might want to use to help you with that is good old Albert Einstein, who said we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. We've all got issues in our life, things that we've created in our life. So we've got to really change our thinking and reset and just wipe the slate on anything you think about celebrity branding, traffic, news, PR, any of that stuff. I'm going to cover it in a very clear and concise manner, I hope. And I'm going to give you a quick introduction about me and why I can talk about this topic. And then I'll give you some examples of what I've done in the past. Like you, I'm a business owner. I'm also a former ABC radio host. So when it comes to the media, I've got a little bit of background in how things operate. I'm the founder of a company called Author Your Brand. I've helped authors get their books positioned, written, ghostwritten, designed, published for a number of years. And I'm currently a journalist with a company called Newswire. And what I do is I actually work with professionals and entrepreneurs, and I help them do a couple of important things. I help them eliminate the overwhelming myths of becoming a recognized expert. And I do this through a very unusual way, which is using the press, using the media. All right. So I want you to understand one thing. Stick around. I'm going to get through this in under an hour, I think, or an hour and 1 minute. And at the very end, I'm going to be asking for a few people to have a conversation with me to see if they'd like to be a case study. I'm working on a report for CNN, and I'm looking for some case studies on entrepreneurs who are global or working in other countries. So if you're US, you qualify. If you're UK, you qualify. If you're Australia, you qualify. You qualify to be interviewed. I can't promise you you'll be in this CNN story, but I am looking for 6 case studies. So I'll have some applications for this at the end of the webinar. So what are you doing right now? Let's talk about business from a fundamental standpoint. You're in business, right? So you've got to have a website. I don't know if you spent $100, $1,000, $5,000 to build your website, but it's pretty near impossible nowadays to have any kind of viable, recognizable business without having a website. So someone told you, gotta have a website, so you built one. And it either performs or it doesn't. In most cases, it just sort of sits there and it's your online brochure. So, hey, you need more exposure because as of, when the internet started, you put a website and you're good to go. Nowadays, there's, I don't know how many billions of pages are out there, you need more than one website. You're lost. You're less than a drop in an ocean. You're a molecule in an ocean. You better have another one. How about LinkedIn? That's a great B2B site. It's good to be there, good to get exposure and make connections with other business owners that you might service if you're a B2B or even a B2C business to consumer company. So you might want to do a good job with that and hire Jim or someone to make a professional profile and then invest some of the most valuable thing you have, which is time. You should be posting articles there. You should be joining groups and commenting and making connections there, right? Is that enough? No. You're also told you should have a YouTube channel because video is all the new rage, right? It's important. You got to have a YouTube channel. You should have that's like a mini TV station now. You should have content on there. It should be optimized. It should be directing people to your website or landing page or an offer. And to create that content, edit it, upload it, make sure it works, share it. SEO, it's more time, more effort, and a little bit more money, right? Is that enough? Are you happy? You have your business tracking the way you want? Not yet. No, you need more stuff. You're probably told also to do a blog. You want to blog every week and get some content out there because we've been taught for a couple of years now that content is king. You can't mess with Google. You can't fake the algorithm. So you might as well just go ahead and put good content out there. That's what we're taught, right? So just show of hands for people who've taught. They should do video, LinkedIn, blog, right? Put some hands up. Okay, right. Yes, I've been taught that. How's that working? Well, guess what? Everybody's taught that. So what does that mean? That means you're still a drop in the ocean. There's still billions of people who are, being taught the same thing. Well, just got to do a better job. So let's work on Facebook. Let's put up a Facebook page and run some ads there and do some content and engage with people and make new connections. And this is a huge investment of time. I probably understated the amount of time there people invest in Facebook. Is that now enough? Does that give your business the push that it needs to be hugely successful? No, you probably need some more SEO work. So let's invest some money and put some effort towards SEOing your blog, your YouTube channel, your website, so that you get found, so that someone tells you, I can rank you higher on Google. Well, guess what? Those same guys who help you doing SEO have more than one customer, right? They're going to want to get as many customers as they can. And there's a lot of people that do that. What does that mean? That means you're still competing with millions or at least hundreds of thousands of other people who are vying for the same exposure. It's crowded. So who wins in all this? Who wins? The people who've got the most money, right? That's basically what it is. So we have to think different, a little bit out of the box. A lot of people work with me on getting their books created. And they might invest $15,000 or $20,000 and spend a good portion of the year crafting, positioning, writing, editing, designing, and publishing, and then marketing a high-quality book. That sets them apart, right? Because now you're an author, and not many people are authors of books, especially best-selling authors. That can help them get some exposure and notoriety, right? So whether you do one of these, two of these, three of these, or all of these, take a good hard look at your balance sheet. Go to your, it's April 15th yesterday, and people are doing their taxes in the US, and you had some numbers there. So what do those numbers look like for you? Were they outstanding? Were you happy? Were you like, hey, this is great, I hit all my goals? How much are you making after investing all this time and all this money in your business? When I look at all that stuff myself, and I know how to do all this stuff, like a lot of you guys, we know enough to be dangerous. We know enough to actually make a difference out there online, but it's still overwhelming. I mean, are you overwhelmed? You should be, because after you build all that stuff, now comes the hard part. Who's been told this before? Remember the movie Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner? If you build it, they will come, this ghost said. wonderful, inspirational movie. I loved it. You know, it had Darth Vader in it. Okay, if you know what I'm talking about. It was an inspirational, wonderful, fun, warm, heartfelt movie, and it had a beautiful message. You know, if you just build this thing, everyone will come, and your life will be wonderful. Okay, so who is that working for? If you built 2, 3, 4 of these properties and put a lot of your time and energy in it, did all of a sudden the seas part, and all of a sudden you had a huge amount of traffic coming to your websites, your landing page, your blog? No, that's not happening, folks. It's not happening for anybody because everybody's doing the same thing. Well, gosh, Doug, you're right. So what am I going to do? How about advertising? That's right. Advertising is what the big boys do. And you can do small ads on Facebook and Google, and you can get noticed there, right? But here's the challenge with advertising. I'm not saying not to do it. Advertising is important, but only if you do it in conjunction with what I'm going to go through here in the next 15 minutes. Advertising, quite frankly, in my opinion, all by itself is just freaking annoying. I mean, you look at any web page, whether it's Facebook or Google or any kind of news feed, anything out there, there's always ads on there. And what is the purpose of an ad? Think about this at a very basic level. An ad is designed to distract you from what you're looking at. You're looking at something, I'm watching a TV show, and I'm engaged. I want to see more of the TV show. Oh, I'm going to interrupt you with an ad. Gosh darn it. Okay, fine. I'll watch your ad just so I can get back to the cliffhanger ending of their TV show. Thankfully, TiVo has eliminated a lot of that. As a consumer, as an advertiser, you know, they're out of luck, right? So it gets a little bit confusing. Like, what do you do now? You know, if you're a TV advertiser, it's pretty tough out there. Online advertising, oh, now we've got these pixels. If you know what a pixel is, it follows you around. So has anyone been on a website, let's say you're on eBay or Amazon, looking at something, and then you log off. Then you go on Facebook and you see an ad for what you just looked at on a completely different website. And you're thinking, wow, that's magical. Advertisers are loving this. It's confusing. It kind of works, but it's still a distraction. It's still somebody trying to pull you away from what you're really looking at, which is, you know, the cat video or the story about ISIS or whatever you're looking at online. An ad is designed to pull you away from that. So the more money you put towards ads and the more analytics you do, try to get better at it, it costs money. It is not an inexpensive thing to advertise. Anybody who tells you it is, they're lying to you, because to run ads, you've got to do a lot of testing. You've got to see what works, what doesn't work. It's a lot of experimentation. There's no way around that. You've got to just, you know, invest money. Perhaps the biggest asset you're going to put at risk, though, is not just the money. Like in this case, this guy, I found this article on Business Insider, a gentleman who had a multi-million-dollar company. All right, he had staff. He has marketing professionals helping him out. Yet still, when he went to get a bunch of shares and likes on his Facebook page, he ran a huge campaign, burned through $600,000 and made no sales from it. So he shut off not in time to, you know, to get banned from Facebook because he wouldn't pay the last $100,000. It was a huge waste of his very valuable resources to him. So it's not a fun thing. But even more funny was this one. I saw this on Times Online magazine. Okay, think about this. The magazine is called Time, and it's how much time have you wasted on Facebook. I just thought that was sort of funny. But the premise of it is, if you go in and actually take a look at, and there's little pieces of software you can actually get to find this out, but how much time do you invest, if you want to call it that? I call it waste. How much time do you waste looking at things that isn't making you money, surfing, clicking, doing stuff which is just dragging you around? Whether it's an ad or a cat video, doesn't matter. People spend a lot more time online nowadays, and the question you want to ask yourself is that productive? You see, according to Kissmetrics, which is a large analytical service, people on social media, it says right there, people don't want to be customers on social media. They want to be social. That's why it's called social media, right? Marketing is not sales. Branding is not sales. And social media, in and of itself, doesn't really convert. Jim will back me up on this. Anybody you talk to who really is honest with you about social media, fans and likes rarely turn into sales. You can sell on social media, but don't expect it to come from fans and likes and all that jazz. Okay, even large companies. I found this article from Accenture. Accenture did a study, and they found that 1 in 5 marketers score themselves below average in terms of quantifying ROI. Okay, 20% of CMOs think they're, what's a CMO? I had to look this up. A CMO is a chief marketing officer, right? Do you have a CMO at your company? Most of us don't. I mean, we're focusing on small, mid-cap sized companies here in this webinar. Most large companies have a CMO, a chief marketing officer. Somebody's getting paid big dollars to market the company. And a large percentage of them are being honest and saying, I don't know what's going on. We're not quantifying our marketing investment. Even $1 million brands aren't marketing confidently. These are just the ones being honest, 20%. I'd be willing to wager that the other 80%, half of those are probably just lying to them so their boss doesn't find out. Bottom line is, after you build all this online digital real estate, it's about the traffic. After you have your YouTube channel, your website, your blog, your Facebook page, your LinkedIn, all that stuff is great to have. You need it. You've got to be present online. But if no one's going there, you have no traffic, it's not going to help you. So if you get traffic, it's got to be targeted traffic. There's a lot of opportunities for you to get. I saw a couple webinars actually come on the in the news feed the past few weeks about getting more visitors to your website, more traffic, more traffic. You know what? It's got to be targeted, because if it's not targeted, it's just garbage. People aren't. It's almost worse than advertising, because at least in advertising you might pull somebody over, but untargeted traffic is super annoying. So we want to be target traffic. The questions you need to distill down from these first few slides is, how do you create consistent content that brings you more leads and sales? Okay, not that just entertains, not that just engages, but translates into leads and sales. How do you engage authentically to create relationships and create those relationships faster? It's fine to build a relationship online, chat a little bit, get things going, but that sometimes takes weeks or months to build a relationship with a client. How can you do that authentically and quickly? And the third question is, how do you build trust? And how do you build trust quickly? If I tell you, trust me, it's one thing. If Jim tells you, trust me, it's another thing. If a person you know, like, and trust and believe in tells you to trust me, it's a whole different animal. So a third-party referral is always better than advertising, than marketing. And that's what we're going to discuss today, is the highest and best third-party referral program you have ever seen. The typical marketer, unfortunately, doesn't really do what I'm about to share with you. A typical marketer, according to this one study I found, they spend on average 6 hours per day on non-sales activities. That includes social media, email, order fulfillment, goofing around. Only a couple hours a day on sales activities. Most of them I've averaged out over 25 grand a year on marketing plans, systems, programs that absolutely had no effect. And the typical marketer actually earns less than minimum wage per hour, because most of them spend a lot more than 8 hours a day in their business. So, ask yourself a question. Are some of those statistics sound familiar? Would you rather be busy or productive? Most CEOs would rather be productive. Most CEOs, owners, proprietors, they want to spend less time on social media. Every other marketing company is telling you to invest more into that. You need to do more in order to get found, because everyone else is competing against you. But that's not what you really want. You want to be productive, not busy. So this is all blah, blah stuff, right? All this stuff that you got to do is interesting. But take a step back and take a look at what your competition is doing. There's somebody out there right now who is published and recognized in the media. You have competitors, A-list competitors, who do exactly what you do, but these are the ones that they're not focusing on outreach programs, not focusing on spending money on Facebook ads. They have people coming to them. They're published. Your knowledge, unfortunately, at this point, for most of us, it's trapped. You might have a sphere of influence. You may have a list of 1,000 or 5,000 people, but that's puny compared to your A-list competitors. Because your knowledge is trapped and unknown, your position in your marketplace, in your market space, is totally insignificant. You're not a significant person if you're not in the media. You're lost. You may have a very small niche and a very small component in your hometown, and that might be okay for you. But if you want to go big, if you want to make a lot more money, you're going to have to push way beyond your geographic barriers. So the results on all this are clear, that social media is very social. It actually has no cash value in and of itself. So what I want to share with you ask you this question: how do you make what you're doing already just worth more? Because I'm not saying not to do your social media. It's important to have that there. But how do you make it actually work for you? How do you leverage it? How do you take that 2 hours a day and turn it into 5 customers or 10 customers? Let me give you some examples of people who do this really, really well. And this is going to be slightly funny or disgusting, depending on your perspective. I call them media darlings, okay? Let's take a look at these 3 people here, just for a brief moment, about their media exposure. Now, do you know these people? Have you ever seen this person, Kim Kardashian? Unfortunately, I have. Okay, you probably have too. How about Kanye West? Oh yeah, I recognize him. How about Justin Bieber? This is the bad boy Justin, right? These people don't do Facebook ads, guys. They probably don't podcast. They probably have a YouTube channel, but that's probably run by somebody else. Matter of fact, most of their YouTube videos are probably shared by their fans. Their fans are sharing it. And the bottom line here is they are they get huge amounts of traffic, not because they add value, but because they're popular for some reason. All right, I call them media darlings. That is just an example of absolutely leveraging the media without adding any value, and except unless you want to consider entertainment value, which it could be considered, at least for 1 or 2 of them. I'm not sure about the top one. I'm going to align most of you guys with some other people here, and forgive me if it's the political one, but let's take a look at these 3 people. They came up in my news feed, in my stream, of people who are extremely good at marketing and communicating. Trump, all right? Who else can be angry and have bad hair and be a billionaire? I mean, he just leverages this stuff, and he doesn't give a rat's behind what you think of him. But one thing you can't do is say he's not a good marketer. He's a marketing maven. He's leveraged that brand, no matter how arrogant it is, it just works for him. Or this guy, I love to study how great a communicator he is. Politics aside, leave that aside for a moment. Just isolate the way he communicates and is able to market and just put himself out there and pick up attention left and right. Perhaps for most of us as business people, most people respect this guy. You think you're overwhelmed with doing your social media, your advertising, running your business, sales, operations, selling clients, fulfilling orders on your one company or your one product. Well, what would it like if you have 100 companies or 200 companies or 300? I think he's got 350. I forgot what the last number was, but that's a lot of companies to run. He's got a lot of stuff going. So how does he leverage that? He's a marketing maven. He's using the same thing I'm going to share with you, but he does it effortlessly. He does it very, very simply and cleanly. And it gives him, like you, it will give you instant targeted traffic. So I'll leave the billion-dollar brands aside. Let's distill this down into the very, very simplest, smallest number I could come up with, all right? Let's say that, like Jim mentioned, we're going to talk about 1,000 target hits. It's more than that, but I want to keep it an easy, simple number. So let's say you've got a product. Let's say you've got a $97 product. I hope you do. Does anybody not have a product right now? Raise your hands if you don't have one. And then, see me after the webinar. We'll talk about that. But most people have a product of some kind, whether it's 97 or $197 or $1,000. You're in business. You've got something, whether it's a product or service, to sell. So we'll take 97 bucks. Let's say you're an average to slightly underperforming marketer, and you got like a 10% conversion. 1,000 targeted hits with a 10% conversion should make you about $9,700. Is that a lot of money? Is it a little money? I don't know, but it's significant. Did you get 1,000 targeted hits yesterday? Did you make $9,700 like today or yesterday on your business? Because if you didn't, then I want you to pay attention to this formula here. This is how I get targeted traffic. This is the outline, and I'm going to give you specifics here in the next 10 minutes. I network with journalists. I write quality articles that news sites want to reproduce and share and get out there. And I continue publishing articles consistently that are picked up by hundreds and thousands of news sites every single day. All right. And the way this started for me, I came into it sort of by accident, but I used to have a past business. I had a real estate investor training company. I was a real estate investor, and I had done that for a number of years. And one of my friends said, hey, why don't you go ahead and start teaching people how to invest in real estate? So I didn't do boot camps. I did something crazy. I actually opened up a school with a building and classrooms and, homework and pens and paper. And we didn't grade the homework, but we had milestones every week that pushed that investor forward. And eventually they bought a piece of property. The classroom sat about 15 people, and they had a 10-week curriculum. And in order to fill that classroom, I did what any business owner would do. I did advertising. I ran ads in the paper, in the cable TV station, and I did local trade shows. And I had actually an outbound call center. I had a 6-seat, not a big one, but a 6-seat call center for our size business was significant. We had 6 people in there every single day, dialing for dollars, talking to leads, calling them up, asking them about the economy and their financial situation, and they wanted to invest in real estate, and most people did. And we talked to them and sold and pitched, and I had a sales staff that would educate them about our process and work with them. And you know what this adds up to, guys? This is overhead. Any significant business has overhead, whether you're a solopreneur or a staff of 15 or 20 people. Your business, it takes money to run your business, right? So one day, one of my staff said, well, Doug, this is our expenses were about $12,000 a month on running advertising. And we had the revenue to support it, so it was okay, but it still was pretty expensive to spend that money every month to bring in new business. So I said, what about PR? And I'm a real estate investor, so forgive me. I mean, I had some training in this in college, but it's been a while. And I'm like, PR, what is it? I think I know what that is. What is that? Is it like branding or something? It's like, yeah, it's branding. And I said, I don't know. It sounds expensive. Everybody I've talked to that's done PR, I mean, take a look at those media darlings, all right? They have PR agencies. Justin's got a PR agent. Even Branson, all those guys have PR agencies because that's what they focus on is making sure they're positioned and branded in the media. And I was convinced that this whole thing was only for celebrities, people that could afford, $10,000, $20,000 a month for something like this. But I ran across a guy in Chicago, David Brim, who said, yeah, Doug, we could do this for about $5,000 a month. And I'm like, $5,000 a month, that's half my budget. But, I want to try something different because this $12,000 a month was sort of killing me. And I said, okay, let's take a look. Let's try it for a month or two and see what happens. So fine, first month we go ahead and we build a press kit. And the press kit has nothing in there because I have no press yet, but it had testimonials and case studies of the clients that I helped out, much money they made in real estate, and it looked pretty good. And they took some professional photos of myself, my clients. And it was all about positioning, making sure that I was positioned as an expert in my industry. And that took the first month. Second month, okay, we'll send this out to some news agencies, do some some PR campaigning for you. And the second month, nothing happened. Okay, fine. Well, keep going, just do another month. Third month, nothing happened. I'm like, man, I'm burning through money here. I don't see a darn thing, no results whatsoever. At the end of the third month, David says, hey, I got an interview for you. Now, keep in mind, I'm a Chicago education company. And he says, yep, the journalist is calling. They're calling from Seattle Times. I said, Seattle, you mean Washington? And yeah. I said, David, I'm a Chicago Academy. People physically come to class here. He said, you don't want to do the interview? I said, no. You think I should do it? Yeah, do it. So, well, I've already paid for the month. Go ahead. So I did an interview with this lovely woman from the Seattle Times, and we talked on the phone for exactly 4 minutes. I'm like, okay, that was pretty cool. Next week, the article gets published in the Seattle Times. I get the copy of it. They call it a clipping report, where they send you a clipping of the news article. I get this article. It's a quarter-page article, and the content of this article is about the real estate industry, how appreciation rates affecting the economy of the United States, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, where's Doug? We're looking for myself. When you look at a photograph with you and your friends, you always look at yourself first. So I'm like, okay, where's my name? Where's my name in this article? And I would get down to the last third, and I say, oh, according to Doug Crow from the Springboard Group, he thinks blah, blah, blah about the economy and real estate investing. I had 2 sentences in this quarter-page article. So I was like, oh, man, is that it? That's all I get? Nothing about my academy, nothing about how cool I am or how great the people are doing at my school, just my opinion about the real estate market. So, as a journalist, was that the way to go? And having one article in the Seattle Times seemed to me as a pretty thin way to get ahead. It wasn't really branding. Didn't feel like I was a celebrity. But what happened was changed my life. What happened was I got 6 phone calls Somebody called up, hey, I just saw your article in the Yahoo Finance. Another call came in. Hey, I just saw your article in MSNBC. Now, remember, when I was quoted in this article, I did not promote myself. There was no link to me. They actually had to look at my name, look at my company, go online and search and find me. So I had 6 phone calls in that second week after the article came out. 6 calls. I'm like, oh, that's cute. What did that mean? I got 5 new clients. They didn't come to Chicago to teach them. I didn't. I by happenstance, by accident, I became a national company overnight, where I was now training these people over the internet, over the phone. And those 5 clients turned into $32,500 in consulting. So yeah, the 15 grand was a great investment. In fact, it was a start of something quite big for me. It wasn't small at all. I started speaking in areas in Chicago. I started speaking in areas. I had an airplane at the time, so I flew around to different states in the Midwest and Southeast to talk about real estate investing. I love the idea of using this new thing called PR or media, whatever you want to call it. And like, wow, I can just do more of that. So let's do some radio work. So I did some radio advertising. I actually picked up a show and was hosting a show on WIND in Chicago, which is the second largest talk radio station, which is pretty cool. I interviewed people that you may have heard about, like Robert Kiyosaki and his wife, Kim. And being on WIND led me to the biggest station in Chicago, WLS AM 890, which happened to be owned by ABC. So my experience as an AB radio show host also allowed me to be a guest on other people's show, but it also gave me the background to do not just proper interviews and help people do media training, but more importantly, how to insert experts, how to insert business people in the news so they're positioned way above their competition, way above their competition, and they get huge amounts of traffic. So after my stint with the radio was over, I decided to keep this going, and now I'm a journalist with Newswire, and which is actually better than radio. I'll explain why that's better in a minute. Okay, you still with me? All right, cool. Here's what this means to you guys, very, very simply. Your authority backlinks. When you are in the news, when you're actually linked to the news, to a trending news story, you get your websites are ranked higher because news ranks higher than anything else. Your articles get ranked higher. Your landing pages now that are in your website, they get ranked higher, which means if it land there and you've got something to sell, yes, your sales page is ranked higher. And the most important thing, if you're a business owner, you've got a buy button somewhere, right? Your buy buttons now get found, because up until today, I guarantee you, 99.9% of you, most of the world doesn't know you exist, right? They know your competition exists, they're buying from them. So when you get in the media, you get found, your buy buttons get found, you make more sales, and you start beating your competition. Just like this guy did. We worked with a guy named Lane Etheridge just a few months ago, who was just starting his career. We took him from zero. He had no experience as a management consultant, as a business mentor, and within a few weeks of putting this guy in the news, he started charging $25,000 as a result of my news articles. And as a bonus, he became a #1 bestseller. And he became a #1 bestseller in his category of business mentoring and coaching, and which is pretty phenomenal. He's right next to Keith Ferrazzi, who's been recognized as one of the top business authors for 3 years in a row. So it's pretty impressive for Lane. It's not just that. I mean, we have other clients. One of my clients, Tracy Trottenberg, did a female leadership program a few years back. And most marketing people would tell her to promote her program, promote her event. And I said, no, that's not going to work. No one cares about your event, Tracy. Nobody cares about it. What they care about is the news. So let's look into news and associate you with something big. And that was the same week that President Obama announced Penny Pritzker as the Commerce Secretary. And it's pretty rare to have a female in that leadership position. Female leadership. Aha. What's Tracy's webinar? I'm here live event. What's her live event about? It's about female leadership. So when we published our news story about female leadership, I linked President Obama, female leadership, and Tracy Trottenberg all in the same article. That news article ranked #2 on Google, and that was above Huffington Post, which is #6. So I love Huffington Post, but I'm sorry, but our news ranks higher than them quite often if you do it right. Another example, I had a guy from Australia, Robert Curry, came out with a book last year, and his story ranked #1. And that's no small feat when Forbes is at number 5. So that gives him huge traffic. And of course, in Jim's case, if he's still with us, he can tell us a little bit about what we did for him just, what was it, 2 weeks ago, I think, Jim, right?
Yeah, this was just about 2 weeks ago. Actually, maybe 2.5 weeks ago when, Doug, you said, look, let's get the story out there. And I have to tell you, I couldn't believe the writing. You know, when I do anything online, I have to pay big money for copywriting. Normally, for a sales page, it's $25,000 for a sales page to get traffic, to do anything, targeted traffic to actually do what I want them to do. In this case, Doug wrote this article, got it all over the internet on all these different news sites, and 5,000 targeted hits in 48 hours with backlinks back to my website. Unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this before. Never.
Yep.
Never in my life.
Yeah, it gets better because I'm going to share with these strategies with you how this actually works, okay? I'm going to position yourself, teach you how to position yourself to be the expert, even if you're not one. And that doesn't mean that you're a fake. That just means you're not one right now. I'm going to show you how to eliminate overwhelm so you can get those thousands of people to come your way. And in my opinion, this is the absolute fastest way to get there, you know, shy of expensive pay-per-click. So why this is important to you now, in my opinion, again, is that most marketing branding advice, which is being broadcast to everybody, makes everybody the same. We're all still lowest common denominator. It's quite frankly dead wrong. You got to think different. And marketing in and of itself is always expensive, and it's always trial and error. Every single time it's trial and error. This is a brand new way that you've heard of. It's been around for ages, but most marketers don't do this. Because they're not aware of it. So I want to bring you into the fold here, how you can do this, because it just makes sense. And I've gotten consistent results with this 4 years. Now, this is for you if you're a professional and you want to be recognized as one, if you want quick targeted traffic, if you want to be ranked higher on Google, even on page 1. And of course, we all want more revenue now, so let's get going with that. 2 or 3 quick rules. If you're a get-rich-quick person or a fake expert, which means you don't tell the truth, this won't work, because we are journalists at heart, and we vet and make sure that our sources are accurate. So you cannot lie, you cannot puff. You have to be very accurate with what you say and how you say it. And of course, the other house rule is when it comes to investing in anything, most people who spend big money online are doing it in the wrong places. I mean, I can't tell you the number of stories I've heard, people just blowing money left and right on things that are just, they sound so good, but because they sound too good to be true, you know the old saying, they usually are. So a quick confession, I have an advantage over most people. I have experience in this industry, and I have a professional team and a very strong network of influence to pull this off, which, you know, we're not going to market it, but we're going to invite some people to take a look at it later, not tonight. And that, what I mean by that is that there's no sales, okay? We're not selling anything on this webinar. This is designed to educate you and then invite you for a conversation. So imagine a scenario for yourself for a second. What if your article happened to be shared hundreds or even thousands of times on authority news sites? And what if you had 5,000 hits like Jim did to your website, and it converted 10% for like a small $97 product? Well, quick math on 5,000 hits at 10% on a $97 product, rounded up, is 50 grand, 50,000 bucks. Sound like a stretch to you? Absolutely not. A few years ago, like most business owners, I described my business to you. I was relatively unknown like most people and slightly struggling. It sounds familiar, right? But using the 3-step system I'm about to share, my business exploded. And to be completely transparent, it did not explode overnight. I don't hype. It exploded over 6 months. I went from being an average business guy to becoming really the guy in Chicago. I'm an ABC radio host. And even after, I think it was about 1.5 years, 2 years, I earned over $835,000 in a single day using this 3-step method I'm going to share with you right now. This is what it did for me. I expanded my news-based marketing beyond that single article. Remember that one that made me 32 grand? And what I did was I basically did a strong media campaign, did not spend hardly any money on it, and I pulled the people together into a workshop. And during that workshop, all generated from what I'm going to share with you right now, I sold $3.2 million of real estate in about 2 hours. Well, that was nice. That's a lot of real estate. It was real estate that I owned, and that netted me in that evening about 835 grand. So I was very, very thrilled. That was more money than I'd made in 5 years, let alone one night. So it was a good day for Doug and his team, and a better day for you, because now I can share with you how this works, how I can insert you in current news stories, and help you get the traffic that you really, really want. We continue to generate this cash earning targeted traffic over and over again. And very simply put, what got me there was quality news articles that were shared thousands of times. That's it. If you want to take any notes, that's it. That's the magic right there. It's very, very simple. And those words are all critical. Quality news articles. Not just quality articles, not just news articles, but all three of those things, okay? And then, of course, it's got to be shared. It's got to be positioned right. And that's the other thing that I sometimes, we'll get to this in a minute, but sometimes people don't like what I say about how it's positioned. It's got to be very high quality, readable, and it's got to be shareable. What do people share? They share funny things. They share tragic things. Sometimes they share fuzzy stories. It really depends. We'll talk about more of that in a minute. The proven formula is what's important. The proven formula is how you are positioned in those articles. Because when you're positioned right and talked about by credible, authoritative, and trusted sources who talk about you the right way, it all works seamlessly. The three-step formula is very, very simple for saying it right. Okay, here it is. This is going to take 5 minutes. Number one, follow trending news. A lot of people come to me about they want to be in the news, they want to get the exposure, they want to be branded and get those logos on their site. That's cool, that's important. But don't talk about yourself. Leave yourself out of it. That Seattle Times article was not about me. It was about a trending topic, appreciation of real estate at this time. In this article here, this is actually a site called What's Trending. And all the jokes from the Justin Bieber roast, they're pretty good. 4.4 million views. So that's trending. Any article you have that relates to that is going to get picked up, shared, and talked about by other people. People always follow these trending and popular stories. And your audience, your people that you want to target, they're already following major events, and they're distilling these events from other credible sources. Why do we do this? Following the news for a lot of people, sometimes it's an escape, right? They're escaping from their challenges, their everyday lives. And that's okay. That's what we do. We do it with entertainment and news quite often. But the magic part is this, and this is, I think, in step 2 and 3 here, but how do you combine a trending story with your expertise? This is the critical component. Now, why would you do this? Okay. Instead of trying to distract people from what they're already reading about with an ad saying, hey, I'm reading this article, but there's this ad over here blaring at me, following me around the internet, trying to get my attention. Instead of trying to distract people, doesn't it make more sense just to insert yourself where they're already looking? It's called newsjacking. It's a great system that rarely does anybody use out there. I'm not the only person to do it, but I'm the only one that really shares it and talks about it and helps other people do it. This trick is really, it becomes important to be aware of trending stories. And some of these are national, some of them are regional, some of them are, but it's got to be an existing trending story. And then our job is to spin your content by not being the lead, but being the expert commentary on that story. And then, most importantly, we got to relate it to those people who are searching for this news. Does that make sense? Quick hand raise, make sure I'm not going too fast or being too out there. Raise your hand, click the button where their hand is, okay? You got it? You got it? Trending stories, people searching for trending stories. We're gonna insert you in there, okay? Now, how we do it is not by saying, I agree, okay, or this is a good article. Your commentary must be compelling opinion. You best be controversial, all right? When you give controversial statements about a trending story, you're gonna get some attention. Salman Rushdie talked about the Satanic Verses and he got, kicked out of the country. That's a little extreme, but when you give a controversial statement about a trending topic, you get attention. Now, before you get all excited about that or depressed, depending on your point of view, it's important to relate that controversial statement to a direct benefit you can deliver. I'll give you examples of that in a second. But you want to talk more about the trending story and the potential benefit to your reader rather than your product or service. You can't make it an infomercial. We don't do advertorials, if you know what that means. Advertisement and editorial, we don't do those. It's actual news commentary about the trending topic. You're simply positioned as the expert, okay? Your news story should be a direct opinion about this trending topic, and the most important thing, you can write this one down too, is your reader's desired outcome. You want to give thoughtful comment, thoughtful opinion on the news they're already interested in. And so writing an article, that's the teaser. And that will demonstrate a beneficial payoff for the reader. They're like, wow, that's a really great idea. I'm liking this. The guy, he makes sense to me, just like in that Seattle Times article. Doug made sense. How do I get a hold of him? I want to see what he does. Maybe he can help me out, right? After you've had the trending story and your compelling commentary, then it's time for step 3, sharing. That's a 3-step process. Right now, people are telling you to share things on Twitter and YouTube and G+ and Pinterest and Facebook, all those things. That's important. Those are small potatoes compared to Newsweek, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Times, LA Times, Miami Herald. Those are much bigger and much more respected organizations when it comes to curating and commenting on news, right? You do both, but I want to talk to you about sharing it in a much higher level than what you're used to. Your article of your comment on that trending topic has to be newsworthy and shareable, which means other people, especially the media, are going to share it willingly because it's good. It's relevant content. It's new commentary. It's controversial. It's interesting. It brings value, and it's new, and Google loves that stuff, right? But it must relate to the basic psychology of human interests. So it can't be about your stuff. Again, it's got to be about something like something coming up. Say there's a holiday, right? Mother's Day is coming up. That's a popular one. Or it could be about celebrities. Celebrities are very popular. Anytime you can connect and relate your product, service, or company to a celebrity, that's always a good thing. I'll give an example of that in a second. It could be something about sports, sports injuries, personal side of someone's in the sports, politics. It can even be a human interest story. There's some very powerful human interest stories online that get a whole lot of traffic. Or it could be about a disaster or science, or actually anything, any news that can be linked to your business. And this is what I, as humbly as I can possibly state, this is what myself, my team are very, very good at. I'll give you some examples. Let's say, for example, that you're a life coach, and you're working life coach, telling people how to solve their issues and problems in life. And I'm not going to do a press release on that. No one wants to read about your stuff. But let's say that somebody famous gets arrested for doing something bad. Let's give an example I gave the other day which I'm not saying it's really happened, okay? This is an example only. But let's say Justin Bieber gets arrested for drunk driving, all right? And that's all in the news. People are talking about it and say, oh my God, what's going on? Our news article would be controversial. It would say something that people aren't saying. It would have the keywords, Justin Bieber arrested for drunk driving. Was the cop wrong? What else was Justin doing? Ask some open loop question in the headline to cause people to go, what? What is this about? And then we go into the news article and we talk about the event and some controversial ideas about that event. And by the way, according to life coach, Barbara Van Kampen, this is what's important in terms of solving this issue. If you've got an alcoholic problem, I probably could have prevented Justin's arrest. And here's how I would have done it, right? She's just like you see on the news when they bring on expert commentary. And she's the expert, she's the authority, and she's commenting on the news, right? Let's get the Mother's Day example. This is probably one of my more famous spins that I haven't done. I just made this up, but I think it's pretty powerful. Let's take the most mundane, boring item you can imagine, all right? Mother's Day, holiday. You've seen people trying to glob on to the trend of holidays. Oh, what we sell is the perfect holiday gift, and if you're a florist, you're busy. If you're selling eco-friendly light bulbs, you're hearing crickets. No one's talking to you. If you were selling green energy light bulbs, and you came to me saying, Doug, I want to be in the news. It's Mother's Day coming up. Is there anything you can do? Most marketers would say no, or if they're not very ethical, to say, sure, yeah, let's give away a free pack of light bulbs for Mother's Day or something, stupid like that. What I would do is I would search the news. I would find a trending topic, and there's plenty of them out there like this. I would find a topic of perhaps a Iraqi war vet or a single mom who had her power shut off, right? She had her power shut off. She's been without electricity for 4 days. She's got 5 kids at home. She doesn't know what to do. And I would say, here's what we're going to do. Bob Jones, all right, name I'll use. Bob Jones owns the Green Energy Light Bulb Company. Bob, we're going to write a news story about this woman. It's tragic. It's sad. We're going to get people crying reading about the story. In the first third of the article, it's about how the economy beat her up, what happened to her, blah, blah, blah. But then in the lower third or 2/3 of this article, we're going to say, fortunately, Bob Jones from Green Energy Electric decided to do something about this. He wasn't happy with the state of homelessness in this country or poverty in this country, and he wanted to take action. So he paid her light bill for the entire year. And he gave her a lifetime supply of these green energy light bulbs to not protect the environment, but also protect her and her family. Now that's a news story. That's leading with some negative, tragic thing, and then positioning the client as the hero. It's more than a hero's journey. It's a hero's triumph, and that can be you. Let's say there's a national scandal. Let's say it's something even more dastardly, like I'm making this up too. Let's say it's the Veterans Administration scandal. Like that didn't happen. Let's say that there's $8 billion of funds stolen from the Veterans Administration, and you've got a company that you have nothing linking you at all to veterans, politics, nothing. In comes the spin masters from Authority Fusion. Will say, listen, that's a big scandal, and we're going to ride the coattails of that news trend. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about that in a news story, and we're going to share that all over the planet. And we're going to also put you in position of saying, you know what, I'm sick and tired of these scams and malfeasance in government. I'm going to do something about it as a private citizen. I'm going to help out those veterans myself. And I'm going to donate 10% of my profits the rest of the year to the Wounded Warriors Project. That's your commentary in a news story. It starts off tragic. It starts off slightly negative. But guess what? There's a hero in the story, and it's going to be you. And that kind of story gets shared. Okay, we can push that sharing. We can lead with that sharing. And you've seen these icons before, sharing is caring. And it's great to get those. It's great to get Facebook shares and tweets and Pinterest and all that stuff is great. But you know what really, the magic really occurs is when that is shared in the news. Let me prove it to you. When people share things in a search box, or when they go to a search to look for something, according to the Pew Research Center, a person spends 1:42 when they go to search for something, and they spend 1:42 on that site. On Facebook and LinkedIn and all those sites, about 1:41. When they go to the news, they stay on 4 times longer. Why is that? I'll tell you why. Most people are skimmers. They're going to look for something, skim it, find what they want, and click. Facebook, skim around, look at the video, blah, 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 click. When they go to read a story in the news, they read the entire story. Unless it's poorly written, then they might click away. But good, well-positioned, well-thought-out, well-written stories are read. That's why those sites have much longer time on there. So when your newsworthy story is shared by others, it now becomes part of that news stream. The thing is, your story's got to be shared in exclusive networks. Ask yourself the question: is your content right now, your Facebook chat, your LinkedIn stories, your blog, are those being shared by the BBC? Is CNN looking at your blog and sharing that all over the world? How about Fox or ABC or even your local news? Is the local news picking up your story right now? Probably not. Probably not. So we do this. We had a solar company last year that wanted to get some good press and all that. So we went after the dirtiest story we could find. There's a utility company who was playing very dirty tactics and making up fake data to try to tell people that solar wasn't working. So we blasted this online, and it got shared in the news. It got shared by over 800 times on Newswire, 79 times on Reddit. And then, of course, over the 48 hours, 1,748 hits to their landing page based on our news story for that solar company. What did that do for them? Well, it gave them a few leads, guys, and they made over $35,000 from that story. So it definitely works. Here's one I'm particularly proud of, because this was not a huge trending topic, but there was a celebrity involved. One of my friends is an esthetician. She does holistic beauty treatments for people. One of her clients was Ali Fedotowsky. I don't know if you know her or not. I didn't know her, but she's an E-news anchor. She was on some reality show years ago. So she's an A-list celebrity. She came in for a facial, and we did a story about her gold facial. And that story blew up. 2,400 views on Newswire, 350 referral shares on Google alone. This news story ranked higher than Ali's own Facebook page. And that's because it was a trending topic, and it was more powerful. It was more current than her old Facebook page. And here's what this means. I mean, there's people that talk about the word press release. I don't do those. Those are things, for a quick aside, anybody tells you about, oh, we do a press release for you and we'll take it out there. Nobody reads those. Nobody's going to read about your recent job promotion or your product unless you're Apple 7 phone. That's a good press release, okay? But your stuff, nobody cares. We do news, and this is the proof how it works. In the past 6 months, most of these PR sites, press release sites, they've been trending down, whereas news agencies have been trending up about 16%. Google rewards those people, those agencies who create high quality content, and then that's recognized by the media giants. Here's a graph that shows about search engine ranking factors. Everybody understand what that is? SEO, search engine ranking. What helps is obviously Google loves themselves, so you gotta have a G+ account. Facebook shares, and then number 3 here, number of backlinks. So you can go out and get backlinks and buy backlinks, but to get high quality ones, I mean, look at this. The number 3 ranking factor for search engine ranking, SEO, is the number of backlinks. And we're not talking about cruddy little backlinks from some blog network or something you buy on Fiverr, okay? This is real stuff from companies that matter, organizations that are recognized as reputable, the Boston Globe, New York Times, Miami Herald. These are ones that when they have a link going to your article, it means something. So bottom line is I'm almost at my hour. I've shared with you this entire strategy that's earned me millions, and technically you can do all this yourself. You can try to hire a professional journalist, try and get authority news sites to pick up your article and try to get them to share it. But quite frankly, you just don't have the network to pull that off. And that network is critical. Used for this old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And news writing and exclusive network is what makes this whole thing work. So we have a guarantee. We guarantee results of thousands of high quality targeted hits to anything online. And we call that authority fusion. We're taking the authority and fusing it with the news. We get your story told. Your news article is professionally copywritten, as Jim has indicated, and it's posted in Google News. And once it goes there within 24 hours. The second thing that happens is that it gets picked up by all the major news outlets in our network. And there are too many news outlets to mention here. I'm going to go through these. There's literally hundreds of them. There are the big ones here. There are the major news and newspaper websites that are littered across this country and other countries. And some of these you've heard about, some of them you haven't. It doesn't matter because they're all respected news organizations. So whether it's a morning show, whether it's a newspaper or a TV station or a radio station, these are mainly affiliates of the big 4 or 5 networks, the CBS affiliates, the NBC affiliates, Fox, CNN. All these are stations that have online properties where they are looking for local, regional, and national news to make their rankings go higher. So we work hand in hand with all of these organizations to make sure your news gets picked up. And don't forget the regional ones here. Look at Atlanta and Montana and Ohio, Colorado, Utah. If you got a local business or even a national business, it's always good to get local exposure. National journalists are lazy, and they quite often pick up news stories from local channels as well. Industry papers are also important. If you're in the energy business, health and wellness, money, any of those things are also important to pick up. Internationally, we've got a whole bunch of international sites covered, and of course, it all gets distributed to the social media networks as well. So ranking above other stories is important. The main reason is so you can get found. We'll give you higher search engine rankings. Like this is actually the first half of Jim's article. The 5,000 hits you got, the first 1,300 came in 24 hours. What this means to everybody is more prospects, opt-ins, more leads, and more buyers, and much that leads to more money. And personally, I've been hired by some of the world's top marketers to do the same thing for them. And now all you guys have a chance to benefit the exact same way they do. And it gets better, okay? This is very, very simple. Watch closely on these images, all right? This is an attorney. I don't know his name, okay? But take a look at that image and ask yourself, would you hire this man? Just on his image alone. Looks nice, trustworthy, yeah, maybe. How about now? Featured in these news channels. Sort of adds this credibility, doesn't it? This is what your profile should look like. It should look like these people. It's got to have credibility attached to it. You might be attractive, but you're a heck of a lot more attractive if you're featured on major news networks. So which stands out? You as a dating coach with a blue banner, are you as a dating coach as seen on ABC, eHarmony, CBS Radio. But perhaps something like this, is somebody else talking about you. Bart Baggett's a #1 best-selling author. That's nice. He sells some great books. He's very popular. He's a heck of a lot more popular when he puts banners on there from Larry King to Today's Show and America's Most Wanted. Or this gal, Sherry Myers. Sharp gal, great branding, good colors. I'd hire her if I was looking to, I think she's another dating coach, right? So, but look at this. When you see these other logos on there, Playboy Radio, Today's Show, ABC, NBC, Fox, those kind of graphics we give and we create and actually customize those for all of our clients. So you can put those on your site. So when people see you, that trust factor increases tremendously. The speed to relationship increases tremendously. You can place all of these high PR backlinks on your site in about 48 hours from working with us, because we get the news done really rapidly. It's a fast-paced business, okay? It's just the way it works. This is all available to people that work with us, and it's very, very popular. These links, they're high PR. They're very expensive if you go out and buy them. I wouldn't recommend doing that. It's much more powerful to have someone else do that for you. So I'm about done. Question to ask yourself, that 3-step formula: trending topic, commentary, and sharing and news sites. That's 3-step formula. How many of you would like to have that done for you? Okay, I can't guarantee that. We're not selling that today. What I am doing is something very, very simple. I'm saying, you know what? There's 3 quick steps. Click on this link, schedule a call, fill out a short form. And what happens then is that we're gonna have a private 45-minute call, and we're gonna just talk. And I'm gonna learn about your business. You can ask me questions. We'll figure out, is this a good fit for us? Once we determine that we're a good fit, then we can decide about writing and publishing and syndicating and professionally sharing your article to over 100 recognized media giants, getting you thousands of clicks. Once we go down that road, there is absolutely zero risk. Your story is guaranteed published in Google News, CBS, ABC, Fox, hundreds of others. It's guaranteed. And what I want to offer your people, Jim, real quickly here is a couple of bonuses. This is sort of weird on a webinar that doesn't sell anything, but what the heck? Might as well give it away. It's good stuff. A lot of people who end up doing media placements and getting the news end up getting phone calls from radio stations and TV stations, and they are a little confused because it's their first time talking to 10,000, 20,000 people all at once. They might be nervous. They might just blow it. So I prepared a 21 best practices on how to be interviewed and published more often. Before you do any either recorded or live interview with anybody of substance, you've got to get proper media training. And this is the way to do it. The second thing I want to give is a bonus, some media contacts. I actually have a whole lot of media, over 500. I think it's about 700 in my list. This is the name, address, email, and phone number of a bunch of radio producers all over the country. They're all looking for content. They've got to fill 24 hours a day of content into their channel. So when you have a story to tell, because we've done that for you, we've created this news story with you, and when you've got some media training behind you, when they are contacted, they're now talking to a professional guest and not some person who's just starting out. That's critical. The last bonus I want to give is something I'm pretty proud of. It's called Become the Authority. And it's a way for me to actually reverse engineer any product you want to create, whether it's a book, a CD, a coaching program. Most people do it all backwards. They say, hey, I am an expert in this. I want to talk about this topic. I'm going to create a book. I'm going to create a product out of it. And they spend weeks or months or even years creating this product. And then they're told to go out and sell it and market it. And who knows if people even want to buy it. So my program, Become the Authority, turns that backwards. We start off by selling the product first, then engaging the future buyers and readers to help create the product. It sounds weird, but it works really, really well, because if you engage people ahead of time before you create the product, they're going to create exactly what they need and want. They're going to tell that to you. They actually might provide some of the content. They'll tell you the price point. They're pre-done buyers. It's a beautiful system. So it's a $1,000 program. It's a digital program. You can download it. I'm really proud of it. So I want people who schedule a call with me to have that as my gift. And then if we get on the call, if I have some slots available, I have a few of them. I want to also talk to people tonight about being a potential guest to be on my CNN iReport that I'm doing about entrepreneurship. So bottom line is this, boom, $997 custom strategy session with Doug. It's 45 minutes of pure content and dialogue between us. No selling. If there's a fit, the last 15 minutes we can talk to you about investment and timing and all that stuff. Media guest checklist and how to be a good guest is important to get that. I'm also going to give you my media list, my Becoming Authority system, and a potential interview on CNN. That adds up. That's about $2,500 in stuff. And because we're not doing any sales, this costs nothing. This is all just for basically getting on the phone and saying, hey, let's go ahead and have a conversation and see if you want to work together. So you might be asking yourself, how do I qualify for this? This is the real tough part, okay? Not everybody qualifies. You got to actually do something. You got to fill out a survey. That's pretty much it. You go to the authorityfusion.com/strategy and fill out that survey. And then we'll schedule time and have a conversation. That's it. That's the qualifications. It's pretty simple. And then lastly, I do have a clock, right? I've got hours in the day. And I did a webinar earlier and I filled up about half those spots. I've got about 8 left. And once they're filled up, I am done for the rest of next week. I'm not sure how that will go into the end of the month, but it's going to be a tight month in April. So I'm going to just say I've got 8 spots because I really do. I'm not sure what will happen at the end of the month, but for between today and next Friday, I got 8 spots. So if you want those, go to authorityfusion.com/strategy. And at this point, Mr. Graham, I am available for questions. I apologize for going a few minutes over.
Well, Doug, I was just putting up the button there. Look, there are just a few spots available for this, guys. Go to authorityfusion.com/strategy. This is your chance to spend some time with Doug to be able to find out if this is something that you could absolutely utilize. I know I have. In fact, I've got another one queued up coming up in the next week or so. And I can imagine this moving forward of at least once a week. Getting out there so that I can get these backlinks to websites and get the traffic that I need in order to continue to make more sales. The offer is live. I created the button right there. Just click on the register here button. Authority Fusion strategy call is what it's called. And again, guys, it's free. This is your chance. This is free, no charge. There is no hook here. You're going to have a chat with Doug after you fill out the form and find out if this is a good fit. I see a couple of questions in here. Doug, are you ready for some?
I sure am.
So what's the next step? So they click the button and they register, and then what's the next step after that? What do they do?
I want to get a little background information on the appointment form. It asks, I think, 2 or 3 questions about your website, what you want to achieve, how you see yourself in the media. You may or may not have an answer to that, but that's okay. Just give me a little bit of background, and what I'll do before our call is I'll actually go to your website. I'll do a little research about you and where you are. I might even look up some of your competitors and do a quick competitive analysis. That way, when we get in the phone call, it's like we're old friends. It's highly productive. We'll get a lot done. We'll be able to talk about exactly how this will work for you, if it will work for you, and then how we can position you in the news and get you all that traffic that you really need to make some serious money.
Okay, so here's another question here. So will this work for nonprofit agencies?
Absolutely. We
absolutely could.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because no matter, even if you're a nonprofit, you're still selling it. You're selling something. You're selling hope. You're selling goodwill. You're selling people to give donations. So there's always a sale being made, and it's actually, in many cases, it's easier to sell an idea than a product in the news, because the news is all about emotion and getting people emotionally connected to a story. So in a nonprofit case, it can be very interesting, a lot of fun to do. I think maybe one of my, hopefully, I don't know if is that from Monica? Do you have a name on there or not?
Yeah, it's Monica, yep.
Yeah, Monica, you betcha, baby, we can do it. How do I know it's her? Because she is the nonprofit guru.
Right. Okay, so here's another one. Doug, incredible information. Thank you so much. I have a book. I'm an author, and I'm struggling to get this book sold. Can you help me with that?
Yes. As being in the publishing industry for a number of years, I have a very intimate knowledge of authors, both nonfiction and actually fiction authors as well. If you got time for a quick story, I'd love to tell you what we did with a recent fiction author, Jim. Most people can say, "Oh, I can do a bestseller for a nonfiction author because it's easy categories. We can blast out a lot of sales and make somebody a bestseller." Fiction is pretty difficult because you're up against J.K. Rowling and John Green. So a fiction book is tough to do. We had an author come to us and say, "I want to be a bestseller. my team said, we can't do fiction books. That's too tough. And I don't like that answer. I said, no, we figured out a way to do it. So I didn't read this book entirely, but I got the theme and talked to the author about it. And unfortunately, there was a little bit of a dark undertone to it about suicide. The protagonist's father committed suicide. The protagonist herself considered it. So it was an undertone. It came out, a happy ending in the book, but there was a dip in this book that was very compelling, and it was based on a pretty dark topic. So I said, listen, Joanne, instead of just focusing on trying to sell your book, let's go big. And most people, I'm going to give a percentage of my profits to a charity. I said, forget that. Let's give all of your revenues during this launch to the National Suicide Prevention, the nonprofit. So nonprofit link there. What we did was we did a news article on that, and she became a #1 Amazon bestseller in fiction, because we didn't focus on her book. We didn't focus on the author or her needs. We focused on something more important and much more powerful. And that's what gets the news. That's what gets shared. So yes, I can do authors. Fiction, nonfiction, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another one here. Hey, Doug, I'm a speaker struggling to get speaking engagements. Can you help me with that?
Yes. One of the key things that speakers need is credibility. There are so many speakers out there I've heard who are really fantastic speakers, but you look at their speaker and their press kits, and they're like, I spoke at the Rotary Club and blah, blah. That's nice, but you're up against people who've, been on television or who've spoken to large audiences or to Fortune 500 companies. So a properly positioned press kit and speaker kit is going to instantly put you way above your competition. The minute that we get those stories shared on the major news channels, you've got a graphic pack we send you that puts all this on your website. So no longer are you the speaker at Rotary, you're the speaker as quoted on CNN. You're the speaker who's been featured in the Wall Street Journal. And your credibility goes way up. You can charge more speaking fees. You can only be a brand new speaker. And as soon as you have those credibility logos on your site, you are in the top 1%. So yes, we can help speakers for sure.
All right, here's another one here. Doug, I don't have a product to sell. Can you help me with that as well?
Yes, you and I are both, again, as modest as I can put, I'm pretty good at making something work for people very, very quickly. Most people undervalue their expertise, their experience, and what they can bring to the table. I guarantee anybody, I can help them create a product out of their background, out of their passion, out of whatever they want in a half an hour. And if I can't, I guarantee you I could help you be an affiliate for somebody who already has a product. And there's a lot of people in my world who actually use news stories to promote affiliate products. So you can have no product at all and make a lot of money at this.
Okay, great. Here's another one. Doug, this one is from Sarah, and Sarah's asking, how much traffic can I actually get? How many backlinks can I actually get from an article that you do?
Most of the time, we don't do one article, and very rarely will I just do one, unless it's like an event or something, and then we'll probably just do one or two. But most of my clients will do a series. We do a big media push blitz to get started, and then for most folks, it's an ongoing process. Week after week, we'll do a string of series, a 3-part series, or continually in the news. Each one of those articles is guaranteed to be shared over 100 times, 100 news agencies. Each article is guaranteed to have over 1,000 links, 1,000 hits to your site. So if you did this even just twice a month for 3 months even, you'd have 6,000. You'd have 6,000 individual hits. You'd have over 600 backlinks from authority sites out there that would be, as long as that news station is out there, that link stays out there. That's one of the things I mentioned about being on the radio. The radio was fun, but after the broadcast was over, there's nothing else hanging there, right? It's out in cyberspace. When you do things digitally in the digital news organizations, that link, that news article stays online. It stays out there for a long time, really in perpetuity.
Here's another question I have here, Doug. That was a good one. Another one is I need some help with reputation management. Can this help my reputation?
Yes. Yeah, great question. For those of you who don't know what that is, if you ever have a negative review, a negative piece of content online about you, it's darn near impossible to get it removed because it just is very, very difficult. So most reputation management people will do things to push that negative review into the dark space of page 2 on Google, or 3 if you're lucky. So the way to do that is to post more positive things. And it's not just an individual link or individual story. It's got to be those series of stories. And then you got to put some SEO power on half a dozen of them to make sure all that stuff gets pushed to the front of the search engines and then stays there. So every single reputation management person I know employs some kind of news articles to get that done. We just do it about 3 times better because we have more than one syndication channel. We have actually 3. So that's why you said earlier that I underpromise. I way underpromise. It's a lot more than what I'm saying, but we guarantee the 603 months for sure.
Excellent. I see 4 people have actually registered now for the strategy call. You only have another spot or 2 available, right, Doug? Is that it?
Yeah, there's about 3 or 4. So I had 8 when I looked before I started. You see 4 there, so there's 3 or 4 left, I'm sure.
Okay, great, guys. Take advantage of this. It's absolutely free, including you get the free gifts, which is, what do you have to lose except for maybe even a little time? But I'm going to guarantee you have a conversation with Doug, and he's going to actually change how you think about how to get traffic in this other new way beyond social media and beyond pay-per-click and pay-per-action types of traffic. Just go to authorityfusion.com/strategy. This is your chance. I'm just looking through the rest of the questions here. I don't really see anything else to just say thank you, Doug. I see a lot of thank you. That's awesome, guys. Listen, I don't want to spend too much more of your time because we're running, we're 18 minutes over the hour. Doug, do you have anything final to say?
No, just that I really appreciate being able to share this stuff. I love meeting people. I love hearing your stories and then blowing your story up online. I think there's a lot of value that people have that is definitely hidden and not noticed out there. So I'm on a mission to do more than what you probably expect. Like in the nonprofit world, people talk about, can I do something locally? Sure, why not go globally? Think big and act big. And the old saying, even if you shoot for the stars, you'll hit the moon, or however that phrase goes. But yeah, I want to help people out. So go ahead and schedule time with me.
For sure, yeah. Schedule a time with Doug, guys. This is your chance. There are just a couple spots left, and away you go. Guys, take advantage of this. This is the only person I know on the planet that actually does this for free, the free strategy call. And I'm going to tell you, it'll be worth your while for sure. Don't be afraid of that. The other thing is in the future, when it comes to things that you're going to try to do, don't let money get in the way of holding you back. And this one is free, so there is no money involved. So there's no reason for you to be held back in this one. Guys, thank you so much for taking advantage of this webinar. Really appreciate it. Doug, really appreciate your time and effort today. It's your nighttime right now, right? You're in the U.S. But thank you so much. And I'll go ahead and sign off the webinar.
All right, you bet. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.